21. Backing up on overthrow. Outfielders should always back up the infield in case of overthrows. Backing up is a basic fundamental of baseball and can prevent extra runs from scoring in games, especially in youth baseball where overthrows are prevalent. Coaches should practice the art of backing up throughout the season. The left fielder should always back up the third baseman, with a base runner on second base trying to steal third, and with any other situation that may occur. The left fielder should run to the sideline and then come in toward the base. He should be careful not to get too close to the bag, because then the ball could be overthrown past the third baseman and the left fielder backing up. If the left fielder does not run to the line, then he won't be taking the correct angle to prevent an overthrow. The same concept holds true for the center fielder when backing up second base. This backup situation occurs mostly when a runner tries to steal second base. The center fielder must be careful not to run in too close to second base, because the ball could then be thrown by him, and no one is available to back up the center fielder. The right fielder should back up first base on a bunt with the throw going to first base. Like the left fielder who backs up third base, the right fielder should run to the line and then in toward the bag. When the outfielders catch an overthrown ball, it's best for them to run the ball in to the closest bag. Coaches in the youth level should emphasize to his fielders not to make unnecessary throws. 22. Catching colors, fly balls. In this drill, a coach needs a bucket of balls. He places a piece of blue masking tape on 1/3 of the balls, yellow masking tape on another third, and no masking tape on the remaining balls. As the coach throws the baseball up into the air, the player has to recognize and call out the color of the baseball. This drill is forcing the young player to keep his eye on the baseball. Most errors on the ground or in the air in youth baseball games occur when the player takes his eyes off the baseball. This drill conditions the athlete to keep his eyes right on the ball for the purpose of determining the color, which will help the player ultimately catch the baseball in games. The player must yell out the color once he recognizes it. 23. Calling colors, ground balls. The colored ball drill is just as effective and even more so when practicing ground balls. The fielder is forced to watch the baseball go into his glove. The biggest mistake fielders make is to turn or lift their head before fielding the ball. Forcing a player to call out the color of the ball as he fields it ensures he keeps his head down and belly button squared to the ball and watches the baseball go into his glove and not lift his head up prematurely. This is a great drill to perform throughout the season because it emphasizes important fundamentals. 24. Shielding sun. When there's no sun in the sky for a fielder to battle while trying to catch a pop-up, he has a clear, unobstructed view of the ball in the sky and can make an easy catch. However, many times a ball will get lost in the sun or the lights, and the fielder will have the helpless feeling of not being able to find the ball. There is a technique, which should be reviewed in practice, which helps players block out the sun when a ball is hit into the air. When the ball is hit into the air, the player should immediately locate the ball and shield the light source from his eyes with his baseball glove. Players should hold the gloved hand up in the air, the glove closed and blocking the sun or lights. Camp under the ball, and open the glove at the last second to catch the ball. Coaches can have their players perform this skill with no glove and a tennis ball to emphasize how important it is to use their hand to block out the sun. To test if they can see the ball the entire way, have the players clap their hands before catching the tennis ball. Younger players can practice catching fly balls in the sun using their glove and with a tennis ball to gain confidence before progressing to catching a hard ball. This is a difficult skill to master. However, with repetition comes success. This technique should be practiced with both the sun and with night lights on a field. Once mastered, a fly ball in the sun or lights should become a routine catch in games. 25. Calling for the ball. Calling for the baseball is something that must be practiced. If no one calls for a pop fly, then fielders can collide with each other, and errors and injuries will occur. It's so easy to yell, "I got it." Yet even professionals fail to communicate. Instilling drills that force players to call for the ball will make them better fielders in games. It also helps players learn the habits of their teammates. 26. Super Ball Drill. This is a challenging drill that teaches players how to call for a fly ball. 4 players stand around the pitcher's mound with their backs to the pitching rubber. The coach places on the mound a 4-inch cinder block or a flat rock. He will bounce a rubber ball off the cinder block. The players must quickly turn around and find where the ball is in the sky. If the ball is coming down between 2 players, then they have to call for the ball, and one of them has to catch it. This drill teaches players to react, find the ball, and judge whether they should call for the ball. There is no better way to reinforce good teamwork and communication, which is extremely important, even at the youth level. Just as important as knowing when to call for the ball, it's equally important to know when to back away from a fly ball. 27. First base. The first baseman is the key to the infield because he's responsible for the majority of the putouts made at first base, which is one of the most common plays in baseball. When a ball is hit to one of the infielders, the first baseman should square his shoulders to the position where the throw is coming from. If the first baseman throws with his right hand, then his right foot should remain on the inside of the bag as he stretches out with the opposite foot and arm to meet the ball. It's the opposite for lefties. Many first basemen stretch for the ball before the ball is thrown, which is incorrect, because they will be off balance if and when they have to readjust their stretch to compensate for a not-so-accurate throw. First basemen must be comfortable stretching to catch low balls, high balls, and even scooping balls out of the dirt. An important fundamental to playing first base is knowing when to come off the bag to catch an errant throw. Leaving the bag may result in the runner reaching safely. However, it could also prevent him from taking an extra base on a wild throw. If the throw takes the first baseman down the first base line, he could apply the tag on the runner before he reaches the bag. This play is extremely important, especially in youth baseball, and should be practiced as much as possible. 28. First baseman receives bunt. As we mentioned in the previous drill, the first baseman must square his shoulders to the position where the ball is coming from. The same holds true for receiving throws from the catcher or pitcher from a bunt. The first baseman's feet should be parallel to the bag when receiving the ball from the catcher. His foot on the glove side should be on the inside of the bag. It is extremely important for the first baseman to give a big target to his teammates. This will help with accurate throws. 29. Pitcher covers first base. Another important yet overlooked aspect of the pitcher's position is to cover first base on any ball hit to the right side of the infield, particularly to first base. Sometimes the first baseman has to come off the line to field the ball. If he doesn't have time to beat the runner to the base, the pitcher must explode off the mound and run directly to first base, beating the runner and receiving a toss from the first baseman as he steps on the inside of the bag. Coaches should encourage his pitchers to cover first base on all balls hit to the right side, even if the first baseman can call him off and take the out himself. 30. Rundowns and home plate coverage. Another important baseball tip is when there's a rundown between third base and home, teach your first baseman to back up home plate when he sees the catcher going up the line. Teach this responsibility to the first baseman and make him accountable. And again, this is something that has to be practiced and cannot just be reminded in a game. As coaches, if we're making players 10, 11, and 12 responsible for actions on the field, it is only fair that we practice as many situations as possible.